Okay, what's up guys? Check out this super sweet new desk I got. It's one of those up and down moving ones, so you can stand at it or put it really low if you want to sit at it and move it around as you like it. Because as filmmakers, we all spend a lot of time at a desk editing and working through our videos, making them look the way that we want them to. But speaking of spending so much time editing your videos, I wanted to actually speak to you guys today about 5 hacks that I think will completely transform the way you edit your videos and speed up your workflow so much so you don't have to waste all your time and energy on the tedious little tasks and rather spend all that energy on actually creating that creative masterpiece that you guys have in your mind. So let's get into these 5 things. I think they are going to hugely impact the way that you guys edit your videos. I'm going to be using Premiere to demonstrate these tricks to you guys, but you guys can most likely do them in any software that you are using. You might just have to change things around slightly. Maybe your shortcut keys will be slightly different. Likewise, if you are editing on a Mac, you're going to have to change some things like Control to Command or anything like that. But these tips will work in almost any editing software that you guys might be using. The first thing that we're going to be talking about is shortcut keys in Premiere Pro. And yeah, it's not necessarily the most exciting thing, but if you guys dedicate a little bit of time to actually learning these shortcut keys, at least the ones that you guys find yourself needing to use often, it's going to be so beneficial to you in the long run. You are going to save a huge amount of time by just learning these little shortcut keys. And once you know them, you're not going to really forget them. You can use them every time you edit. I'm not going to go through all of the shortcut keys here. I think the best approach you guys should take to this is figure out the ones that you guys are going to be using a lot, or the things that you are doing in your editing that you do very often and very repetitively. Go and check up the shortcuts and find out which ones might be available for those tasks that you're performing so often. A couple of things that I think you'll probably need to use very often are things like Control K is going to add an edit. You can use Q and W to trim your clip either at the beginning or the end from wherever your scrub bar is. That's a nice way to just trim your clips down as you're going through them on the timeline. The up and down arrows are going to shuttle through your clips, and it's a nice way to move around on your timeline. The plus and minus is going to expand and minimize your timeline so that you can get a better view, zoom in or zoom out on it if you want to do any like final detail adjustments. One that you guys should definitely know is Control Z to undo anything that you did really bad. If you hit Control A, you're going to select everything on your timeline, so if you need to move that whole project around, you don't have to worry that you're missing out on something and you're going to end up deleting it or something like that. So Control A selects everything. One of my absolute favorites is if you hold Alt and click on either the video or that audio track, you can edit them individually because Premiere imports them joined a lot of the time. So if you want to edit them individually, instead of unlinking them or ungrouping them, you can just hold that Alt, click on either one of those and edit them as you please. If you guys have ever heard of a J cut or an L cut, this is definitely going to be the quickest way for you to do those little edits on the timeline. If you guys have scratch audio or something, you can hold Alt, click on it and delete that audio if you don't need it, or if it's for a B-roll section and you're not going to be using the audio, hold Alt, click, delete, gone. Another really good trick with Alt is if you want to copy a clip, you can hold Alt, click on the clip you want to copy and just drag it over and you will create a new copy of that clip. Super useful, way easier than going right click, copy, clicking over there, right click, paste, super easy, Alt click, drag, boom, new clip. Knowing all of these things is going to save you a huge amount of time. So just spend a little bit of time going over them and really get to know those shortcut keys, get a little bit comfortable with them. Eventually you don't even think about it, you just hit them all, boom, 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 and your edit does exactly what you want it to do without you having to put all your energy into that, and you can rather spend that energy actually doing the creative part of editing than those tedious little tasks. The second thing is something that I use almost every time I edit, definitely if I'm editing anything like this where I'm talking to the camera or any sort of vlog style video. And this is going to help you when you are going through something that maybe has a lot of talking like this and you want to cut out any of the uninteresting parts. Maybe it's the ums and the so's or any pauses that might be throughout that. And most people, they will sit there and go through that whole video, cutting it up and selecting it, and that can take hours, especially for longer format videos. The way that I like to do this is by hitting L on your keyboard, you can speed up the playback speed in Premiere, so you can hit it twice to have double speed instead of just that one normal speed. And all of a sudden the footage speeds up really fast. You start to sound like a chipmunk, but once you get over that, you can go through it double as fast. And as it's playing through, you can just hit either Q or W to cut off the beginning or ends of those clips, moving through your timeline literally double as fast as you could be if you were just playing it back at normal speed. And you're gonna be able to cut out all the interesting bits, the relevant bits, and the bits you need way quicker. Super simple. You can use J, K, and L are gonna be the toggles for your playback speed. You can go even faster than double speed, but I find it a little bit too difficult to hear what you are actually saying once you go any more than double speed. So I keep it on double speed, plays it back super fast, and I just go through that edit really quick, pick out the bits that I feel like I'm gonna keep for my edit. Another thing you can do as you're playing that clip back at double speed is pay attention to the waveform in the audio file and the voice, because often you can see where the little gaps are, or you can see where the spikes are, where the people are talking. And as you're cutting those clips, as it's playing through at double speed, you can very easily see where the talking bits might be and jump straight to those parts and hit cut and delete all of the silent parts that don't have any waveform on that audio track. So that just helps you kind of figure out what's going on in your clip before you even have to see or hear it. You can just see it right there on the waveform. And as your scrub bar scrubs through at double speed, you can hit all of those shortcut buttons that you guys know and delete the parts and keep the parts that you guys want. The third thing that we're going to be talking about is if you guys are ever editing to music, this is an absolute must. You guys should definitely be doing this. And what I'm talking about is using markers on your track in that timeline. So when you guys throw your music or your track into that timeline, you can listen through it and hear where there's crucial parts in that track and parts that you want to edit to. As you know, it's really important to do your cuts on the beats and to pace out your video in the correct way to make it interesting and engaging. When you guys are playing that music through, you can hit M on your keyboard, and that's going to place a marker on that track wherever your scrub bar is. Make sure the track is selected, otherwise you're going to place a marker on the timeline, which you can use for other things. But for this one in particular, we want to have that track selected, listen through it, hit M every time you hear one of the beats you feel like you should have a cut on, or you can hit M on any crucial parts that you want to come back to a little bit later. By dropping those markers on any pivotal parts like the beats or any crescendos, anything you want to edit your clips to, later on you can literally just snap those clips onto those markers and they jump to where they're supposed to be. You can edit out the tail end of that clip right onto the next marker and drop your next clip in like that. So listen through that track a few times, hit M on the beats or the parts you want to edit to, and you don't have to keep listening to the song over and over again as you're editing, trying to figure out where those clips should be or where they should end or where your next like big action should happen. You'll have all of the markers right there on that track. It makes it so much more easy to get your pacing and everything right. The next thing I want to talk about is using colors to organize your footage on your timeline to make it way more easier to understand what's actually going on there. Once you guys have bigger projects and you have a lot going on, it sometimes gets a little bit overwhelming and you don't really know where anything is on that timeline, and it gets a little bit frustrating and you end up wasting a lot of time. So what you can actually do is you can change the colors of any clip or any audio file you have on that timeline. You can use them all to categorize them each into their own little sections, and it's going to make it so much easier for you guys to figure out where that specific clip is on that timeline that you might be looking for. A way that I often like to do this is, for example, if I have a vlog, I might have a whole lot of talking head bits like this. I will right click on those clips, go to label, and then select the color that I want to make all of those clips on that timeline. Then I also might have a bunch of B-roll clips that I filmed in a higher frame rate. So I might be wanting to use those for my B-roll sections and all that slow motion. I can select all of those and apply a different color to those. So now all of my talking bits might be this one color, and then all of my B-roll might be something like purple. Then I might have some drone clips as well. I can make all of those orange, for example, and if I'm ever looking for those drone clips at a glance. I can see on my timeline exactly where all the drone shots are, and I can go and look out and pick out the exact ones that I'm looking for. Another way that using these colors to organize your footage is hugely beneficial is for all of your sound and your sound effects that are going to be stacking up underneath your video clips. Some things that I like to do is have all of my talking one certain color, all of my music or my tracks will be a separate color, all of my sound effects will be their own color, and to go even a little bit deeper, you can split up your different styles of sound effects. Maybe all of your Foley and background noises like wind or waves in the ocean might be a certain color, and by keeping them all separate like that, you just know exactly what's going on. You're not going to be confused when you're looking at that timeline. It's going to make it so much more digestible. You're going to know exactly where everything is, and it's going to save you a huge amount of time. The fifth hack that we are going to be talking about is copying and pasting attributes onto multiple clips. Whether you guys are adding some sort of sound effects to your clips, or you're doing color correcting, maybe you are changing the white balance for a particular batch of shots. Whenever you are going to be doing a certain thing to multiple clips throughout your edit, this is going to help with that. Let's talk about color correction, for example. If you have 10 clips to go through that you're going to apply the same color correction to, instead of going through each individual clip and doing the same settings, you can pick one master clip, apply all of those settings, then you can copy that clip and paste the attributes onto all of those other clips. You can do this for something like sound effects, or if you're going to add vocal adjustments to a clip like this, you can do it to one clip, then you can hit Control-C to copy that clip, select all of your other clips that you want to apply those effects to, and hit Control-Alt-V. That's going to bring up the little pop-up box. You can select which attributes you want to paste onto all of those other clips and hit Enter. It can save you a huge amount of time. You can use this for so many different things. If you ever need to batch edit clips or apply things to multiple clips in that timeline, this is going to be the fastest way to do it. So it's definitely something you guys should have in your little arsenal of editing tricks to use. That's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you learned something new. Editing can be a pretty tedious task at times, and you often find yourself doing like really repetitive, boring things. Taking a little bit of time to learn these things, especially those shortcuts, is going to save you a huge amount of time and take a lot of the headaches out of editing that we can often get as creators. It's also going to allow you to spend all of that extra energy on doing things that actually benefit your edit and make that video a better project in the end, rather than all of these silly little things. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.